When we speaking about the days of Sefirat Haomer, there's a lot of misconception around of what's mutar and what's asur, what's forbidden, what's allowed. One of the very basic ideas is to know that in the Shulchan Aruch, nothing almost is restricted. When you take a look in the Shulchan Aruch, Siman, Taf Kuf Samech, you'll find that the Shulchan Aruch restricted two things only. One is getting married up to Lamed Gimel or Lamed Daled. Ashkenazim go up to Lag Ba'omer, Sfaradim go up to Lamed Daled Ba'omer. And the second thing that the Shulchan Aruch restricted was taking haircuts. That's all. Besides that, nothing else is written in the Shulchan Aruch. But later on, different minhagim started coming up. Also, the first two things are also minhagim. The Shulchan Aruch says nahagu. It's also minhag not to get married at this time and not to take a haircut. But those minhagim, like all other minhagim, has a din like din Torah, very strict, very severe. So one can't take that and not apply it to his life. One has to do it as regular, as just like everybody else, and keep those minhagim. The rest of the minhagim that came up afterwards were also not to hear music, as was spoken already, not to dance at this time, and basically it ends up with those four things. One is not to get married. Secondly is no haircuts. Third is no dancing. And fourth is no hearing music, and without dancing. Those are the four things, that's it. And therefore, says Rav Chaim Kanievsky from his father, that misconception about this time is that people compare this time of the year to the 3 weeks, what's called Ben HaMetzarim, between Yud-Zayin and Tammuz to Tisha B'Av, that's over there is much more strict. And the reason over there is much more strict is because at those times there was Churban HaBayit. It's called Yemei Puranut. It's very hard days for Am Yisrael. But those days that are right now, Yemei HaOmer, is not so. Although there was a tragedies that happened to Klal Yisrael, that they lost 24,000 of the great rabbis, the students of Rabbi Akiva, but those days are not the same severity as the days of Yemei HaMetzarim. The reason for that is because those days right now, the Ramban explains they're considered like high days. They're considered like Chol HaMoed, the days between Pesach and Shavuot. What the Ramban calls like the days of Chol HaMoed. It's high days, and therefore one should be very sensitive at that time and take precaution when it comes to Ben Adam Lechavero. But all other things are allowed in this time. For instance, one is allowed to take trips at this time. One can go to the pool, to the beach. One can go on an airplane. Everything is allowed at this time. More than that, people are mistaken. They think that they're not allowed to buy things. Most of the poskim allow buying things at this time, and even making the birkat shehecheyanu on those things that they bought. Somebody bought a new suit, he can buy the suit, he can also make shehecheyanu. Some poskim take it more strict to say the shehecheyanu on Shabbat, wear it on Shabbat for the first time and say the shehecheyanu on Shabbat, but most of the poskim allow buying anything you want, whether it's clothing, furniture, a house, someone wants to buy a car, all these things are allowed to be bought. More than that, as we said, one can even make shehecheyanu on it. When it comes to taking haircuts and shaving the beard, that halakha applies only to men. A woman doesn't need to keep that halakha at all. There's no halakha, no minhag for a woman not to take a haircut or cut any other hair in the body. All places are allowed. And even on the days of Avelut, Shulchan Aruch is mekel after the 7 days of Avelut, even though the Rama is more machmir, but the poskim say that Chumrah is the time of Avelut up to 30 days. But when it comes to this time of the year, everything's allowed. Moshe adds that if there's really no need for a woman to take a haircut on these days, it's better not. But even on that, many of the poskim say that it's a chumrah etera. Chacham Ovadia calls it chumrah etera. The Or Letzion says it's mutar, and poskim Ashkenazim also allow taking haircuts. So therefore, a woman can take a haircut. She can cut hair, and one is allowed to buy anything he wants. Cutting nails is also allowed. So all these things that people constantly ask, and they think that everything is asur in this time, it's just not true. All those things are mutar. One could live his life regular with just the very few things that are restricted, as we spoke, not to marry on that time, not to take a haircut at this time for men and not for women. Also of kids, most of the poskim allowing kids to have their haircuts, and therefore sometimes you have a bar mitzvah boy, before he gets to be gadol, an adult, let him take a haircut right before. That's fine. Those things are allowed. A person that forgot to take his kid to the barber before Pesach and he's growing big, you can take him right now. There's no problem whatsoever. Therefore, all these things will be mutar. So one should take everything in consideration when it comes to this time, to remember what's mutar and to remember what's asur, and not to mix the two things together right now and make it harder than it is.